Serendipity was, in many ways, goes to the root of the story. If you are attracted to something in a strong and powerful way, and if you sustain it, you will find that the energy that is going forth to sustain this effort will produce unanticipated, serendipitous results. There were no road maps. It's just, this is a hunch. Let's go with that, and if someone will get behind me, I'll go for it.
Here were these couple of young college, graduates who didn't quite know what they were doing, and when I look back on it, I think one of the great advantages of being young is that you really don't know what you don't know, so you just go try everything, and you don't think about how much it's going to cost or what is it going to do, but you think it all can work.
I was always impressed with Paul in that he was trained as an English major. He was an English major at UCSB. There was no environmental studies then. So he had the vision to sort of see an alternative future.
There are different paths that sometimes are unexpected. And maybe that's what made me more open to the serendipity, was the psychological preparation I had. Well, I could see how they might think that way.
One thing that struck me about Paul was that he really believed very clearly in the whole concept of think globally, act locally.
What Paul also, he was very interested in community oriented solutions to environmental problems. And I was able to start and run the hazardous waste collection program and start the Hazardous Waste Collection Center out at UCSB. I was able to start pollution prevention programs, waste oil management and diversion programs.
Initially, we were outsiders, really outsiders. The City Hall didn't want recycling, and it was grudge match to get the community gardens established. Nothing came easy.
He was the big thinker. He would see the big picture of what needed to happen, because everybody else was either fighting oil or talking about grand views of what the world could be in some sort of utopian way. Paul, in particular, was very practical in terms of what he saw needed to be done locally.
You can't grow a garden without pesticides and fertilizers, You're going to lead people down a path towards starvation. Everything required persistence and politics.
We started a garden across the street where the Greyhound is now, so all the people living around come and start their own plot to grow their own vegetables, which came out really well.
Who would have thought 40 years later that the idea of a garden wouldn't be absurd? They'd be in schools all over the country. They would be the basis for economic enterprise, organic food. That couldn't have been foretold.
We had our desks back to back to one another, and I was kind of the neatnik who would have the desk. I wanted it completely clean by the end of the day, and Paul would take everything that came in the mail and pile it up on his desk, and pretty soon it would get so big it would fall over on my desk. So I put a box beside his desk, and he would take the paper off and we'd put it in that box, and then when it would fill up, I'd take the box in the back room. And about 2 years into this, we had to move our offices, and in the back room were 40 boxes of paper that I had taken off of Paul's desk, and he had never asked whatever happened to those papers on my desk. I said, Paul, do you want to save any of these papers? And he goes, what are they? And I go, they're all papers that came off your desk. And he goes, now take them all to the recycling center.
Today, recycling in California, in terms of collection, processing, and manufacturing into new products, employs over 125,000 people. It's a 10 billion or more annual enterprise.
Who would have thought that companies, major companies today, would consider recycling core to their economic success, where to the point in California where the recycling industry is big as Hollywood in terms of gross dollars. Solar energy, that's ephemeral, that'll never stick. I would have thought that renewable energy, solar, would become now a mature industry that can compete with fossil fuel on long-term contracts. So I had lots of experience dealing with people saying no or won't happen. I don't know, I guess I was stubborn.